Welcome back, students. Today we are going to see the remaining concept of artificial neural networks. In the previous session of artificial neural networks, we have covered activation functions and we have seen the basics of a neural network. In that, we have seen regarding neuron diagram, how this neuron looks like. But here today we are going to see the architecture of a neural network along with its learning algorithm. That means here for each architecture we will be having an algorithm. Algorithm in the sense a learning algorithm in the sense it will be in a way where the output of the neural network has to be improved. Okay, so how it is improving we will going to see in this session. Here in the session of architectures, the network architectures, okay, the neural network architectures, we will be having three different classes of network architectures. So what is that? Single layer feed forward network, multi-layer feed forward network, and recurrent network. But we are covering single and multi-layer in this session as part of your syllabus. So here, these are the architectures, and along with this architecture, what we are going to learn is the algorithm. That means this is called as learning algorithm. This learning algorithm in the sense how it used to train this kind of architectures. Okay, so for that, first we will be seeing single layer feed forward networks. See, basically in the previous session of this neural networks, we have covered what is a neuron looks like. But what if we have a multiple set of neurons? So you can form like, as you know that a neuron requires an input, okay, a set of inputs will be there and it gives you a particular output based on the function, based on the activation functions. But here in this session, in this topic, what we are doing is we are taking a set of input layer, a set of inputs in a layer called as input layer. Okay, that means multiple inputs are there and they are associated with multiple outputs. So what does it means? That it contains two layers. The one is input layer and it contains another is output layers. That means what you can say in single layer feed forward network is with using of certain multiple input layers, we are actually producing a set of different outputs. It's not something that we are going to give you only a single output. Instead of that, we are giving a multiple set of outputs. That means here it acts in a way simultaneously it is giving a set of outputs for the given input, and that too it is a set of given inputs. So if you observe in this one, a one input is associated with all the outputs. So here if you see in this way, so like that it is associated with all the output. That means every input in an input layer is being contributed to get the output layer, or you can get the output of output of the given output layer. Not only this, if you observe in this all of this, but what you can find, the common point here is you have an input layer which contains a set of inputs and which have a set of outputs as well. So this is just a single layer in the sense it contains input and output. Apart from input and output layer, it doesn't contains anything. That's why you can term this as single layer feed forward networks. Okay, so this is very simple, the single layer feed forward network. So here what we are doing is you can call them, one example of single layer feed forward network is called as perceptron. So this is a very important topic because it will be asked in your examination as well regarding perceptron. So what is this perceptron? It's kind of a neuron model which represents which feed forward network? A single layer feed forward network. So here what happens is this perceptron actually was being proposed by Rosenblatt in the year 1958. What is this? It is just a simple neuron and it will take what, it will have categories of, it takes a set of inputs. Like if you observe x1 x2 so on up to xn are the set of inputs that are being taken in input layer. With the help of bias, okay, a value along with the given input, it will produce a value called v, and upon performing activation function here, this is activation function, it will give you as an output y. So this is how, as simple as that. But the thing is that the perceptron uses which kind of activation function? It uses step function. So as you said, as I said you that step function is something behaves in a way where it gives an output in a two form. It can gives either it returns plus one. Plus one indicates that if the given input, whatever you have an input set of inputs, if the overall the value of an input, if it is greater than or it is equal to 0, then it will just give you the output value as plus 1. Whereas if the input is other than greater than 0 or equal to 0, and it will give you as minus 1. So here if it is, you can observe, that means this v value will be act as an input for activation function. Which activation function? It uses step function, because in step function it only gives you in two values, that is plus 1 or minus 1, provided based on the given values, which is v is greater than or equal to 0 or v is less than 0. So this is your y, which is plus 1 or minus 1. So in that sense it executes. Okay, so now we will be seeing this, how this perceptron actually works here, because we said that it is how something you're classifying the output in two categories. Either you either the output is of greater than or equal to 0, means it is giving plus 1, or else it is minus 1. So here what we are doing is we are taking a perceptron concept in the sense of classification. So how this works here is, this perceptron which I just now said you is used for binary classification. Binary in the sense we'll be having only a two values. I mean, you're classifying the given output in just two ways. That's why it is called term to be as binary classification. So how this actually work here is that the perceptron needs to be get trained in a way of classification. That means whatever the input you are giving, you need to classify into two kinds of categories. Okay, whatever the input you have given, you have to categorize the given input into two categories. So if you are, and that are being separated by a single line. Okay, so if that is the thing, then it is called as linearly separable classes. Okay, what is this linearly separable classes? In the sense, like here for example, like if I'm taking an input patterns, if I'm taking input patterns, so this input patterns, I can assume that there are two inputs, that is x1 and x2. Okay, so for example, like if I'll take x1 as one pattern and x2 as another pattern, so there are two patterns here, right? So it's, if I something represent in this way, so here if I used to take in this sense, and here if I take like this, now there is a linear line. If this linear line exactly divides the given input patterns into two forms, either in this way or this way, that means this class of pattern which it divides into two forms are termed as linearly separable classes. Okay, so you can term this as class C1, and this is, you can term this as C2. Now C1 and C2 are linearly separable because by this line they are can exactly divide into two parts, and at one end it only contains the patterns of C1, and at one end it contains only a pattern of C2. So that's why one pattern I denoted in this format, and another pattern I have taken in a circle representation. So in a way, like this is how something called as linearly separable classes. So here what you can say is that this perceptron, it models linearly separable classes. That means when two classes are not linearly separable, it may be desire to obtain a linear separator, because the main thing is that it minimizes the mean squared error. First we will see how this linear separable classes works here. First we will be seeing linearly separable classes with the help of AND problem, OR problem and XOR problem, and we will see whether all of these problem will satisfy the given condition or not. Let's take x1 and x2 and I perform x1 and or x2, which is my output. For AND I am performing here. So how it will be? It will be 0 0, in the sense it will give you as 0 0 1, it will give you as 0 1 0, it will give you as 1, okay, sorry, it is 0, and 1 1, it is 1. So this is how AND operation which I am performing now. Now I want to see whether if I perform AND operation, will it be a linearly separable or not. So here, now for example, like I'll be taking here class C1 for true condition. Whenever if the output is true, I mean whenever the output is 1, I'll be taking in the way called as I'm representing with circle. And for class C2, if it is false, that is it will give you as 0, okay, because 0 indicates for false and 1 indicates for true. That means I can denote them as a cross mark. So now what I'll take is, I'll take first x1 and x2. So here this is my origin and this is 1, and here also it is 1. Now 0 0, it will give you as 0 only, right? So here at this 0 is false, so I just take this in this way, okay. Similarly 0 1, again it is giving 0, which is false, in the sense I have to use this one. So 0 1 0 1, so that means, for example, if I take this as x1 and if I take this as x2, now x1 is 0 and x2 is 1, that means it will be pointing here. In a way, the next is third one, 1 0, it means this is 1 and this is x2 is 0, means I can take in this way, right? And finally a 1 1, which is give you as 1. So when it giving as 1, so you are taking as circle representation, so I'm just taking here like this. So what I did is, now simply I can say that, okay, so this is how you can make with a single line, a linear line, I can divide the values, the patterns into two categories. So now you can say that by this AND is also a linearly separable, okay. Whereas if I say for OR, what happens for OR? Same thing, x1 x2 and output if I'm taking here. So OR in the sense 0 0 0 0 1 1 1 0 1 1 1 1 it is. For taking OR, how I can represent them? So same thing I'm taking here. What is that? Sir, C1, for C1 I'm representing that if it is true I'm representing with a circle, and if it is false I can represent with a cross mark. So again I'm taking this condition here, which is your x1, this is x2, and if I take 0 0, it will give you as 0, it means it is false. So when it is false, right, so what I'm taking here, cross mark. So here I'm representing this as cross mark, this is 1, let us assume, and this is also 1, okay. Now 0 1, it give you as 1, so but I have to use, because it is true, so I'm taking as the circle representation. So here I'm taking as circle representation, here also I'm taking circle representation, and 1 1 also I'll take a circle representation. So that means this three patterns look similar and this is one different. So if I take this line in this sense, now this is linear line which can divide the two patterns. I mean in this one which is all three circles, and here in this pattern I just have one value which is your cross mark. So here this is one pattern and this is one pattern. It means that OR is also a linearly separable. Now next comes to XOR function, and we will see whether it executes that or not for XOR. So here x1, x2 and output. So XOR means here you know that if we have similar values it will give you as false, and if you have dissimilar values it gives you as 1. So here dissimilar 1 0 means again it is 1, here it is 1 1, in the sense it will give you as 0. So now we are taking the same thing here with the help of this. So what we are taking here, this is x2, this is x1, this is 1, this is O origin, and this is 1. So now 0 0, it means what it is, 0 only, so it is false. So when it is false I'm just representing them as in this way, cross mark. Next to 0 1, it is giving you as 1, means it is positive, and 1 0 again it is giving you as positive, but when it is 1 1 it is giving you as it is giving you as false, which is you can represent them as this way. Now if you observe this, in any of the way you cannot divide exactly the given set of patterns, similar patterns, into two different forms of patterns. Why? Because if I divide in this way, what happens, the same pattern cross mark is also available here, or else if I divide in this way, so the cross mark is also available here, that means it is not linearly separable. So you can take in these two lines, you can say that continuous forms of patterns you can divide, but it is not linearly separable, which is XOR is not linearly separable. Okay, so that's why you cannot divide this. So this is how about XOR operation. So that's why I said you that if we take an exam class 1 as C1 and C2, so if the output same thing, we have assigned +1 if it is, then we are taking in the class C1, and if the output is 0 then the input is assigned to C2. So we taken a C1 and C2 and we have seen what are the operations it performs in that one. Now before going to that, first we will see this one, the limitations of perceptron. So as I said you that it is linearly separable, that means you can take a single straight line which I have taken there, which separates the value into two parts. So you can take AND function, or as well as if you take complement also, all these three are linearly separable. But the main drawback of this limitations of this perceptron is it cannot model XOR function. Okay, it cannot model XOR function, that is the problem here. Okay, so because of that we will going for the next concept, that is multi-layer feed forward network. Before that we will be seeing an algorithm which improves perceptron, how it improves here. So that before going to this slide we will be seeing one example here to understand exactly how it works here. Okay, so here it is taking OR function. So as you know, OR function whenever you are taking, so because perceptron can handle OR, can handle AND function and also complement function. So here we are taking this example to understand the case. So for that what we are doing is we will be taking okay, so here we are taking what, x1, x2 and y. As we are taking for OR, you know OR how it executes, 0 0 it will give you as 0 0 1, it will give you as 1 1 1 0 0 1, and 1 1 it gives you as 1. Apart from 0 all are ones here. So here we have what, we have weight value. So we need to see the weight values. The weight value is minus 0.2 and 0.4. So here we are taking W1 as minus 0.2 and W2 as 0.4. So two weights we have taken for two inputs, because for x1 there is a weight called w1 which is minus 0.2, and for x2 another input which you have a weight called 0.4. Now what we are doing is we are actually finding all of these functions. We need to check whether the given inputs, the given weights are properly or not. Okay, so we know that what kind of output you will get. For example, if I take this kind of two inputs which is 0 0, the output should be 0. If it is 0 1, then the output should be 1. If it is 1 0, the output should be 1, and if it is 1 1, the output should be 1. So if you find that the output, whatever this is your expected output, right? This output you should get. If you will not get this output, that means there is a problem in the given weights which you have taken for the given input. So based on that you need to adjust the value of weights. Okay, so for that we have to see whether really it works or not. So you know that the summation function here, w1 x1 plus w2 x2, right? So if I'll take for this input, for the first kind of input, okay, what is that? 0 0, the x1 is 0 and x2 is 0. So if you take simply x1 as 0 here, okay, that means minus 0.2 into 0 plus 0.4 into 0, you will get simply the value of as 0. And you know, step function we are using here because it's a perceptron. So here y is equals to step of 0. So if it is 0, it will give you a simply 0. So that means if the output is 0 here, so for the first time, for this value it is correct. Now for the second time, for the second value here, what happens? The x1 and x2, the inputs will be updated. Okay, because we are taking for the second input where I am taking x1 as 0 and x2 as 1. So for this what we are doing is, if you multiply this, what happens? Minus 0.2 into 0 plus 1 into 0.4 means 0 plus 0.4, it will give you as 0.4, and y is equals to step function. Okay, step function, what it says, if the value is greater than 0, so it will give you as 1 here. So you are getting as 1 here. Similarly, for the third case, if I see now, what happens? X1 is equals to 1 and x2 is equals to 0. So here what I am going to do is minus 0.2, same weight I am taking for this, into what is that? 1, because x1 is 1, plus 0 into, okay, 0 into this 0 is x2 value and w2 is 0.4. So you will be getting as minus 0.2. But upon performing step function, I mean activation function, which is a step of minus 0.2, because as it is less than 0, so you will be getting the value as 0. But here if you observe, here we are getting 0, but the output is 1 here. That means the output is not correct here. Okay, the output is not correct here. So for that, what we have to do is we have to update the weights here. Okay, so we need to update this weight w1, because there is a problem in w1 or else in w2, so that because of this you are not getting the correct output for the third sequence. So for that, what we are doing here we are taking this condition. What is that? wi, that means the current weight. Okay, I mean like current weight is this one, but we need to adjust the weight. So updated with wi, current weight, plus a into what is this? Xi, for the given input, what input you are taking, into e. Now e we are taking, this is of error value. So e initially we are taking as, we are assuming e as 1. And what is this a? A is called as learning rate. What is this? A is called as learning rate, and this learning rate value will be in between minus 1 to plus 1. Remember, you have to take the learning rate value between minus 1 to plus 1. This learning rate, in the sense on what rate basis you are learning this algorithm, so that the values you are updating accordingly. So as you know that the W1, which is minus 0.2, okay, so we are updating this value now. So how we are updating is, we are taking for W1, which is 0 minus 0.2 plus, for example, if I assume a value as 0.2, because it should be in between minus 1 to 1, so 0.2 into, and x1 value, what is that? This is x1 value, right? So x1 is 1 into e also 1. So what happens? You will be getting as 0. So that means the weight has been adjusted to 0. Okay, that is 0 we have taken. So if you have adjusted to 0, what happens? You just updated this and we have to try it accordingly. But again we need to see for the next value. What is that we are seeing? W2. For W2, that means for this value, we need to see with this W2 means 0.4 we are taking plus what the learning rate we have taken here. Here it will be something like if you adjust accordingly, okay. So here if you take in this way, for example, if you take this example, like here you have taken this one, W1 as 0 and W2 as 0.4, okay. So what we are doing is that for this, for example, like if I take W2, which is 0.4, if you take in this step, so what happens here? W2, that means 0 into 0.4. So usually the problem lies in this way, because you are getting minus 0.2. So when I'm getting this minus 0.2 here, because of that only the problem is there. If you are getting something like a value called more than 0. I mean, if it is 0.4 something, if we get like this, or if you get 0 more than 0, then the problem will be solved. So for that we are not updating this value, so we are keeping this like this. So the updated value of this will be W1 is equals to, the weight has been adjusted to W1 as 0 and W2 as 0.4. Now if you take this value here, okay, so we need to check whether you are getting the output or not. Again we need to perform recursively, okay, again we need to perform recursively, and we have to check step by step. So this is how something the learning algorithm works here. So the same thing which I shown you just now, with this we have to get the value, which is you are getting W1 as 0, instead of earlier it was minus 0.2, but now it has been updated as 0. And here W2, where the problem is not came, so that's why we haven't updated this. But upon using this outputs, we have to verify whether the given conditions is satisfying or not. If it is not satisfying, for the next time we have to perform this. Okay, so we need to repeat the process. This is very important point. We need to repeat the process till we get the stable result. Stable result means for all of the given conditions, because in our operation we have 4 combinations. So for all the 4 combinations you should get the correct output. So in that way your perceptron works here. So that's why the updated weight. So here what is this? Wi refers to, W suffix I refers to updated weight will be the actual weight along with what is this learning rate into the given input xi into e, which we have taken. Okay, so that is your error. So this error is there in learning rate value, which I said you it will be in between minus 1 to plus 1. So using this you are learning the perceptron. Okay, so you are learning about perceptron, that how this perceptron works here. So this is how something regarding perceptron algorithm, because I said you in this one that for single layer we are seeing how this learning algorithm will be used. In the same way we will be seeing now the multi-layer feed forward network. So this is what we have seen about single layer feed forward, which is your perceptron learning algorithm. And with an example also we have seen. And now comes to the limitations in perceptron. As I said you that it won't handle XOR function. It won't handle XOR function because XOR function is not linearly separable. So for that, we are taking next kind of network, which is called as multi-layer feed-forward neural networks, or you can simply call as feed-forward neural networks. So what the difference, the main difference you can find between them with this and with the previous one here is that in the previous one we had just input layer and we just have output layer, but in this multi-layer, in the sense it is more than two, that's why you have taken one extra layer. You can have multiple group of layers also, which is called as hidden layer. So this hidden layer is actually not your input, this hidden layer is also not your output layer, but it is something that what happens, it will increase the efficiency of the neural network by performing, I mean, like, the what you can say that the more number of hidden layers are there in the given neural network, so the more accuracy the excuse me, the more output you will get, the more accurate output you will get. Okay, so because of that, what happens, this hidden layer, remember, it is not an input layer, that means it is not taking input, and also it is not giving any output. It is just acting as an interface between input and output, where it is taking the value obtained from input layer and it gives a value to output layer in order to give that complete output. So here the main task of multi-layer feed-forward network is it handles non-linearly separable learning task. Okay, so it handles what? Non-linearly separable task. So for that, we will be seeing that how this XOR function actually works here. So if you observe this, this is how what happens is that XOR functions, what you can perform in XOR function, this XOR function is actually a combination of multiple functions, which is you can call as AND, OF, OR and NAND. Okay, that means if there are two inputs are there, x1 and x2, so first thing is that we need to perform OR of x1 and x2, then we can perform NAND of x1 and x2. Okay, after performing all this, okay, OR and NAND, which we have performed here, now for this obtained value you have to perform AND operation. Okay, so this AND of OR of x1 comma x2, if there are two inputs, then comma NAND of x1 comma x2. Okay, so in that sense you are performing here, and overallly you will get XOR value, which is this one. So in this way XOR function will works here. Okay, so we will be seeing now this exactly how this XOR function actually works here. So for example, like as I said, you x1 and x2 are there. So first they are performing OR operation. Here I said you this step, OR of x1 comma x2, and in this one it is performing NAND of x1 comma x2, and the result of this you will be performing AND of the result. Okay, this one and this one, and you will be getting finally as an output, which is your XOR function. That means it takes the help of extra layer. In that extra layer you are performing this kind of operation, OR and NAND. So if you club this in this way, it happens. How it happens? For example, here if I'm taking x1 and here if I'm taking x2, now what are the operations here we are performing? OR and NAND. So here I'm taking OR and here I'm taking NAND. So that means this x1 will be performing for x1 x2 performs OR operation. In the same way x1 and x2 performs NAND operation. Okay, and the result of this will be performing AND operation. So here what I am taking is, I am taking AND operation, which is your output function. So now you can observe this. If I take bias value here along with this, which is I consider as B here, and for this again I am taking a bias value. Okay, so like this. So this is you can call as B1 and this is you can call as B2, and finally you will get an output function which is your XOR. Okay, so what you can observe, this is your input layer. What is this? This is your input layer, and this part is your hidden layer. What is this? You can call them as hidden layer, and this is your output layer. Okay, so like this you are performing XOR operation. Because the problem in XOR operation, if you perform using perceptron, if you perform using single feed forward networks, you just have an input and output, you don't have a hidden layer in between them. So because of that, directly you cannot perform XOR, because XOR is a combination of multiple gates here. So because of that, we are overcoming the problem of linearly separable in this method. So now what we have taken is the same thing, x1 0 0 0 1 and 1 0 1 1 we have taken. So in this is your OR operation, means you can consider as hidden. Okay, this is h1 you can consider as in hidden layer, and this is h2 you can consider as in hidden layer. So here you know OR operation, you perform this, okay, where you taken 0, rest of all are 1. And here NAND operation, NAND is a complement of AND, so we perform 0. It will be how it will be here, 0 0 0 1, it will be in AND, but the opposite of this is 1 1 1 and 0. Okay, so we perform, and we take this two inputs to perform AND of h1 comma h2. So AND operation, you know that if both are true, then only it is true. That's why here it is true, here it is true, here it is false, and here it is false. So finally it is giving you as, what is that? 0 1 1 0 means you are giving x1 XOR of x2. So this problem has been overcome by what? Which multi-layer feed forward network, with the help of an hidden layer. So that is how, that means we are overcoming the problem of XOR operation with the help of multi-layer feed forward neural network. Now how this feed forward neural networks exactly works here? So we have actually shown you that it uses a hidden layer in between input and output layer. So now what we are doing is we need to learn the algorithm here. Okay, so this algorithm will be based on gradient descent method. Okay, this feed forward neural network is based on gradient descent method, is actually a most common optimization. It is most common optimization algorithm. Okay, so optimization algorithm, in the sense we have to optimize the given algorithms. I mean, whatever the problems which we lied in that, we have to optimize it. So this is one kind of method which will be used in machine learning for optimizing the algorithm. Okay, so that is your gradient descent method. So in this one, what we are doing is that there are several activation functions which we have already seen in the previous session of neural network. So you have already covered use sigmoid function. Okay, so sigmoid function, you know, if there is an input called this vi or any of the input, so simply, for example, here f of x is your input, so 1 by 1 plus e to the power of minus x is your sigmoid function. So here instead of x input we taken as v. Okay, so this v will be calculated in this manner. Okay, because here we are using hidden layer, so the hidden layer output will be this one, and this hidden layer output y will also be calculated in this way, okay, by using sigmoid function. So using this output, again it takes an input, and again you can finally calculates what vi. So in that sense, what happens, it will takes here. Anyhow, we will be learning, anyhow we'll be going to the next concept, which is your backpropagation algorithm, which is your learning algorithm in this kind of neural networks. So this backpropagation is also as like as a single perceptron, but here what the problem is, what the backpropagation will do is, whenever, for example, like here if I take two input, which is x1 and which is x2, okay, and if I take hidden layer as h1 and here it is h2, so upon taking output weight as w1 and here w3, if I can represent, if I can take this as w2 and if I can take this as w4, okay. So what I'm doing is, this is hidden layer, right? Now if I take an output layer, output function as o1, that means here if I'm taking two output, okay, in output layers, two output functions I'm taking here. So this output also been calculated with this, like this. So I can simply represent w5, w6, w7 and w8, and using bias b1, here also using bias b2. So for example, if my expected output for the given network where I have two inputs, where I have two hidden functions for hidden layer, and also where I have two output functions for output layer, if the expected output of this output function is, for example, 0.5 for this, and if it is 0.5 for this, but upon calculation, if suppose if I'll get something other than this value, 0.5 is the actual output, expected output, and this is output of this function is also 0.5, which is your expected output. If I won't get that output, that means there is a problem in the given weights which we have taken for the given algorithm. That means like we have taken w1 to w8 along with b1 and b2 values, right? So all these weights has to be get adjusted accordingly, so that you will get the output whatever the expected output is, so as to reduce the gap between your expected and actual output, okay. So for that purpose only, what it happens here is that whenever it takes, for example, if you go with this green direction, you will be having activation forward step, so where activation function you are getting, and you are getting an output. So in this output, for example, here the same thing, if I'm getting this is my expected output, which is 0.5. if the output, if I'm getting something called as 0.735, which is not equal to this one, right? That means I have to adjust the weights. So for that I have to go back again. What I'm doing is I'm going back again for to reduce the error here, to reduce the error in the given output value. So for that, which step it is called as error propagation backward step. So this error backpropagation or propagation backward step is actually used to adjust the weights. I said you which weights here, w1, w8. So for every weights we need to adjust the weights in order to minimize what, the network total mean squared error. So that I will let you know what is that. For example, like I have given you an example just now, that our expected output is 0.5. there are two outputs, and for a second output also I should get a expected output 0.5. but for example, the actual output what I am getting is 0.735 is my actual output. So the difference between them is I have taken as minus 0.235, which is an error value, and for the second output the actual output is my 0.455. so here what happens, you will be getting as 0.045 is the difference value. Now what we have to calculate, mean squared error. Okay, for output 1, O1 indicates for output 1, what is the mean squared error value? You have to calculate in this 1 by 2 into the output value. The difference what you got as minus 0.235 square if I take. So this is my mean squared error, because many times it has been used, right? So in this way you need to calculate this. So this value, how you will get? You will get by calculating the difference between the expected and actual output. Here also for output 2 you are getting as 0.05 whole square by 2. You will be getting as 0.001. So now what we have to do is we need to add these two values. What I have got 0.027 and 0.01. So here the total error, in order to calculate the total error means I have to sum the given two errors, because there are two output values, that's why we need to take them by adding their values. So if I add this value, finally I'll get the total error as 0.026, 0.0286. So what we have to do is we have to decrease this value, we have to minimize this value till approximately to 0. Okay, something called as 0.01 value. If you reduce this value in that way, that means you have to perform the backpropagation process until it reaches to these values. That is our intention. Okay, so first thing is that we need to calculate their weights with their output values, and based on that we have to calculate the total error value. And if it finds that the given value is not 0, that means or it's not very much near to 0, so you have to minimize the value by using the process called as backpropagation. So this backpropagation process will go back again here and it will adjust the weight. So for example, it goes back here. Now it has to adjust the weights for W5, W6, W7, W8 and so on. You have to adjust the weights, and again it come back again and it verifies again the output, and again it checks with this process. And so this is how something repetition process, and it can be of any number of times. For example, if this value, it depends on all of this value only. So this value is actually the value which will be deciding whether to terminate the given process or not. That's why what happens in this one stopping criteria, so this total mean squared error change value, if it comes into this range, okay, of minus 0.01 or more less than that, that means you have to stop the given algorithm. So this is actually the stopping criteria. How can you say that it has to stop? Based on that value only. So every time what we have to do is that we have to update the weights. Okay, we have to update the weight. So for example, like the updated weight, how it will be updated? This is my existing weight with the change in the weight. Delta represent the change in the weight, and by that change the weights can be decreased, can be increased accordingly in order to adjust the value of the weight, so that the overall error value should get decreases. That is how the intentions, in simple way I am saying this one. And here the each step, okay, for going for each repetition, it is called as epoch, so that the epoch should be less than some threshold value as 0.01. so if that is the thing, that means you need to stop the given algorithm. So in this way the algorithm learns that there is an error value, that means the total error is in this way, so there is a need to update the weights accordingly in order to get the actual output, or the output which is very close to the actual output. So that's why in the weight update rule will performs. Now the main algorithm of back propagation is, so initially what we have to do is we have to take n as 1. Okay, n is something what, this is learning sample. Okay, initially it has taken as 1, because every time it has to give the sample of data to in order to learn and in order to improve its efficiency. So here it has taken initially as 1, which indicates that for the first time. So here we have to initialize the weights randomly, whatever the weights we have taken. Something for the example I have taken, right, W1 to W8 and also B1 B2 for that example. So that we have to initialize the weights randomly, and you have to repeat, that means the while condition repeats until the stopping criteria doesn't satisfy. I said you what is that stopping criteria. Stopping criteria, I said you that the square, that error value should become 0. Okay, so up to that this while condition needs to execute. And what happens for each example, for each sample x, for each example x, what we have to do, we have to run the network by taking the input x and you have to calculate the output y. And what we have to do is, for example, if there is a change in the weight, so you have to update the weights in backward order. The term here, it is back propagation, in the sense what happens here is that whenever you are getting 0.5 and actually the output is 0.7, so it goes back again. So this direction, it is going into that direction, backward in direction. So what happens, the weight will be adjusted like this. Okay, here it is. So ji, in the sense it is going backward direction, so the weights will be adjusted like that, and this is updated weight will be, how it will updated, by the change in the weight. So this delta represent the change in the update value. So this will be calculated by using delta rule. Okay, using that it has to calculate, and it has, the weight has to be get adjusted. Up to that this for loop will executes. Okay, and this for loop is for one example. So on for the next example, always the n value will be updated. So n value is something we are giving multiple set of datas, different learning inputs. So every time is incrementing, and if it is, suppose if it reaches to the maximum sets, so that maximum sets, if it reach, then it reaches to n while conditions. So in this way the backpropagation learning algorithm works. So that's why you can call as incremental mode, because it is always increasing the efficiency of the algorithm. And here also the stopping criteria is also the generalization based criterion. That means every epoch, that means every step, the neural network, and then it means neural network is tested for generalization. That means generalization, if it is adequate, means if it is satisfying, then it stops. Okay, so in that sense this two are being used for stopping criteria. Okay, so this is how about backpropagation algorithm, where I am using weight update rule, where I am using total mean squared error. So this total mean squared error is very important part, so that only you can understand well. And here by which, how these values are actually been calculated here. This values, we are calculating this values with the help of whom? With the help of sigmoid function. So that sigmoid function here you have to calculate in each of the steps, and you have to get the value as per this output. If you are not getting, that means there is a need to change the weights for the given inputs. So in that sense backpropagation algorithm works. So this is how about the learning algorithm for multi-layer feed-forward neural networks. So in this way the learning process completes for multi-layer feed-forward neural network. So this is how about completely on the neural networks. Okay, so the important part of this, in mostly the examination they'll ask you the algorithm on what you say backpropagation algorithm, or also they'll ask you about perceptron. So in that perceptron we have seen how this perceptron works, we have seen how it executes OR function with an example, and we have seen how OR and AND are linearly separable, and we have seen how XOR is not linearly separable, and also we have seen that this XOR function, how it can be handled by the multi-layer feed-forward neural network, because it handles, the main is non-linear separable learning task. Okay, so with this I have concluded this today's session. Thank you.